Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan Beltran. This video is made for ITL 672, and the purpose of this video is to cover the Inspired module from the Sanford Education courses that talks about the module Teachers as Agents of Change. And why is this so important? What are the three takeaways? And what are the research-based reasonings for teachers acting as agents of change versus teachers acting as technicians in the classroom? Why is it so important? Well, let's begin. So the first key takeaway from this Inspire module that I grasped was that the significance for culturally responsive pedagogy. Now, this first takeaway is also the new information that I received. I had never heard of this. I've heard of the word pedagogy, but never culturally responsive pedagogy. Now, what does it teach me as an educator? Well, being analytical minded and liking numbers, this really stood out to me, this key takeaway, because it provided a lot of statistics and it showed why culturally responsive pedagogy was important in the classroom. Now, the reason why it's so important in the classroom is due to the statistics that it listed here. It stated that the national dropout rate for students for white, black, and Hispanic, that they all varied. Well, why? They're all students. The only thing that differs is their race. So does that go to tell us that culture responsive pedagogy is really about leveling the playing field, so to speak, with students in our classroom because of their race? Yes, it does. Unfortunately, we still have this going on. All students aren't equal. All students don't receive the same supports and the same care and specialization. Rightfully so, because all students should be treated differently based on their needs and abilities if they are in general education and special education, but not based on their race. We shouldn't target them or hinder them or hold them back because the student is black, the student is African American, or we're Hispanic and that's a white student. I'm gonna have to do something to level the playing field here. No, it shouldn't be like that. So what culturally responsive pedagogy is being culturally responsive. I'm an Hispanic male. In my classroom, I have to educate all of my students, whether they are Hispanic, African American, white, if they come from anywhere else in the world, it doesn't matter. They're my students and I need to be culturally responsive. I need to teach in a way where I can reach the minds of my students and teach them in the way that they think, in the way that they can learn based on their culture. Now, one key takeaway here, detail and scholarly support, stated that the student population currently 48.9% is white. Now that means 49.1% is another race or another nationality. And 87% of the teaching force in America is white, and 13% is other races. I myself fall into that category of other races, 13%. Now, am I at a disadvantage? Well, not really, because if I'm culturally responsive, my classroom is made up of more than half of the percentages of other than white. But still, I have to be culturally responsive and teach my students equally. Now, this key takeaway I'm focusing so much more attention on because the contrast is unparalleled between the others. So it's definitely very important that my cognitive dissonance, what I think, and not being closed-minded, I'm able to open it up and take in new ideas to help all my students in my future classes. Now, my second key takeaway is being a change agent versus a technician. Well, we know technicians, they have their manual, they have done this repeatedly, and they stick to what they know, and they do it because it works. Is there a better way? Well, we don't need to find that better way because it works. Now, change agents, what do they seek to do? Well, the opposite of a technician. They know what works, but they see the flaws in the way that it works and is currently done, and they seek to improve on that way that it's currently done to make it better. That's the teacher that I strive to be. One that gives a lesson plan, sees the faults in my delivery or what students didn't grasp, and I change my method on how I will teach it next time or even reteach it. Now, this quote here from Cammarrota 2011 states that schools don't privilege any one group of students over others. Now, is this true? Well, according to technicians, that is true. Schools, they teach all students equally, and whatever happens, it happened because of the student or what have you, but that tech schools are neutral and function as a meritocracy. If you do well, you get rewarded. If you don't, you get punished, plain and simple. Well, we know, based on our takeaway 1, culturally responsive pedagogy, that's not always true. Race is an issue, and it does come into play. So I need to be culturally responsive in the pedagogy that I incorporate into my teaching style and my classroom. And I also need to be an agent of change in education, a change agent, not just a technician reading through the manual. This didn't work, oh, sorry. Well, based on your merit, you didn't do well on the test, so you failed. Students pass, students fail. That's the way it works. No, it shouldn't be like that. The numbers tell us that this isn't working. My third takeaway from this inspired module from the Sanford School of Education at National University is enacting culturally responsive pedagogy in content, methods, and relationships. Why is this so important? Well, as we can see, it definitely encompasses all 3 takeaways, the first and the second one, but this, the detail and scholarly support for this third takeaway is the mindset and actions. Why is it so important? Well, we have to believe that schools can either produce or change or challenge social inequities. Why is that so important? Well, because if not, nothing will change. The way students are interacted with their teacher, whether white or another race, it will never change, so why bother? That's the mindset of a technician. We can't be that way. A teacher that is white can definitely influence positively students of other cultures. A teacher that is Black or Hispanic, white, black, or brown, any color the teacher is, they can responsibly relate to a student if they have culturally responsive pedagogy and they have their mindset and actions are online, are focused with helping their students. And that teacher, regardless of their race, their religion, nationality, anything, is a teacher that is an agent of change within the educational system. That is the whole focus of this module here. That whatever our shortcomings is as teachers, if we're constantly changing ourselves in our way of thinking and being open-minded, we can be agents of change within education and make a positive impact on our students. Now for content, it's what we teach. We want to choose content based on the relevancy of our students' lives. Any teacher of any race or color can do this. The second one was methods. It's how we teach. We want to involve students in the construction of knowledge in the classroom. And our third area is relationships. We want to make connections. The teacher has to connect and build relationships with students and their parents. That is the key to being change agents within education. We incorporate the student, we incorporate ourselves and our mindset, make it over if we have to help all of our students, and we get the parents involved within the educational system. Now these are the 3 key takeaways that I received. Culturally responsive pedagogy, being a change agent versus a technician, and enacting culturally responsive pedagogy in content, methods, and relationships. I shared the details and the scholarly supports. In this video, I'll also provide the sources for these. And the new information that I received was what culturally responsive pedagogy is. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed a brief summary of this inspired module.